morning, everyone.
Good morning. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Yeah, I can't believe it's another Thursday and
we're at the end
of another
July.
month. Next week will be the end, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, this is the end.
Yeah, we're at the end.
Okay,
right?
well.
I don't know. I think next week we're August. Are we August 1st?
Yeah, August 1st
on
is next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're calendar proficient. I don't know what we are. Calendar illiterate. I don't know. It's a Thursday and we're here. We're live.
Thursday, we're here and we're live.
Yes,
live from Ames, Iowa.
We are. And we're hoping you're having a great day wherever you are because it is gorgeous outside today.
Oh my gosh, if you live in central Iowa, all those rag briars came in. They are loving it. I did close them yesterday. The guy that came in to get something from us, he's usually on rag bri.
Right.
And he had to do one day because this was the first year he took off. And I'm like, oh, of all years.
I know, exactly.
Because it's beautiful.
It is gorgeous. So it's a good thing it wasn't last week. So all those rag briars out there, having a great week. So a lot of fun.
I'm not happy riding. I'm not a bicycler, but I can appreciate. Yes. I can appreciate it. It looks fun.
You know what I want? The only reason I really want to go on a rag bri is to eat all the pie.
Yeah,
you know,
the
only places that have good pie are all those
small towns.
The churches put on the big spread, homemade pies. I would eat.
Maybe
pie
we could like drive
state.
a bus for some, and you and I could just like be the stopovers.
You know how RDTV goes on the road?
Yes.
Maybe we can go on the road. The real. Relatable, relevant, whatever we are.
Yes.
Go on the road and eat pie.
We could, and we could do like live, like we're here.
Live,
yes,
right.
And all the towns for the night or something.
Oh, we could do that. Okay, that's good. We did planning yesterday. We'll have to add that to our plan.
Yes, it's on our planning. So yeah, if you saw our post, we were out planning yesterday in the gorgeous Iowa weather at Dublin Bay.
Yep, sitting outside eating lunch and forgetting to pay.
Yes, we did. We were chatting along just so everybody can feel better, right?
Right.
We were chatting along. It was beautiful. We were planning. We were doing this. We had this great waitress, right?
Yeah.
And so she brought it. She was really efficient because, you know, at lunch, right?
Yeah.
Super efficient. And I called because I was wondering where my credit card was. So I called Justin at Dublin today, right? And he's like, "Yeah, you and Kaylin both just left it all. We didn't sign. We didn't do anything.
Yeah, deliver tip.
Small town America, right?" He's like, "Yeah, we know you. We know how to get a hold of you, but
it's just down the road."
Yeah.
So they have to go there for lunch today.
Right,
Yeah, because after she said that we both left our credit cards, I'm like, "You're right. I don't remember signing anything." Because she put the
she put it down for us,
and then we just kept talking and
we were just chatting. We were gone.
So yeah, all right. Little blondness yesterday, something anyway.
Yeah, little blondness.
Yeah. You know, one thing that I always get a question of, Lisa, is at closing and even after is, okay, I have a deed, but what is title? And I signed both a note and a mortgage. So what's the difference?
Yeah, what are all these documents?
What are these things?
Right, and what do they mean?
Right, exactly. So we thought today we'd talk about those definitions, basically so I can explain it to you better. If you want to be honest about it. No, I'm serious. So we'll start with title. So what really is title?
Yeah, so title, so it is a little bit different in some states, but it's basically the same. And so your title is the history of the property. So if you're buying a new home, it's the history of the house that you are purchasing, or as a seller, it's the house of what you currently own. And so title work is done. In Iowa, we have abstracts, which is very different if you're watching from a different state. You don't, or you might have an abstract, but nobody knows where it's at. So in Iowa, the abstract actually follows the home, and it has to at least show 40 years of history. Most of them show more than that, unless it's newly created, but at least 40 years of history. So in Iowa, the attorney will review that abstract and create a title commitment for the house, which basically, if you have a mortgage on your house, that is part of the title work, and it shows that has to be paid off before you
It's a lien against the property.
Correct.
Essentially.
Yes, if you had the roof done and you didn't pay your roofer, that roofer will file a lien against your house, and that would have to be taken care of because it'll show up on title that has to be paid to that person before you can then again transfer the sale of that property. So it really is a running. Actually, I had a closing this morning. that they were talking about how the abstract to their current house showed, it was like the Hatfields and McCoys, right?
Yes.
He said there was like actually a will dispute that was talked about
in there.
That there is, if there's divorces, if there's like, any kind of dispute that happens, it kind of shows, and he's like, because this abstract went back to like the 1800s.
Oh, I love those.
Right? So he said it was really fun. So anyway, title work, that's what title work is.
Yes. Yeah, because that, like, when I talk about this, we're looking like you have the abstracts updated, and then you get a title commitment to make sure you get clean title to the property.
Yes.
Because like if a past mortgage hasn't been released,
yes, we have to.
That's happened too, where you find, well, 2 sellers ago didn't get a
proper release.
So that's got to be taken care of because that's still showing as a lien on that property. I've had that happen. So.
Yeah, that's kind of a common one actually that happens, especially if companies go bankrupt or if like some company buys out another company. Sometimes they don't do proper releases.
Right, exactly. So so deed.
So the deed is kind of the next thing. So like Kaylin, your realtor talks to you about your deed. Actually it's always funny because what happens is your deed actually shows the ownership of the sellers, passing it on to the buyers.
Correct.
And you get to choose how you're taking title. Shows up joint tenants, tenants in common, single person, different things like that. But it gets filed. When you buy the house, it gets filed, and you actually get a copy of it, but you actually get it back. The actual deed, you get it back.
That phone call. I got it in the mail. What do I do with it?
What do I do with this?
Yes. You can frame it if you want it.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, frame it.
But it's yours, and there's really no purpose to it.
A lot of people keep it with their abstract.
Oh, that's a good idea. You can throw it with your throw it in with your abstract. So
but it's been recorded, so it's not like if you lose it, it's not.
No, you can go shred it, and nobody really cares, really, because it looks like this it is important.
It is important, but it's been recorded.
It's already been recorded. Yeah. So when you go to the assessor's page, that's where you're going to show that deed. Then whose name is on that deed will show up on your assessor's page.
How you own the property. Yep, exactly. Okay, so there's 2 things you sign at closing, Lisa.
These are big. These are at the beginning of closing. Those babies are the first ones you sign because we like your signature to be good in the beginning.
At
the end you get kind of like this. We have you sign your most important documents at the beginning. So, typically, your mortgage is going to be the biggest document that you sign at closing. It's going to have the most pages to it. And it is going to go through all the things that your responsibilities, basically owning the house, that you have to keep property insurance on the house, that you're not supposed to do any illegal things in the house where the federal government would come in and seize the house, that you have to maintain the house to hopefully keep up in good condition, to keep your mortgage, the value up on your house. Then the really important things are also that if you do not make payments on the house, your mortgage will actually go into detail on what the procedures are for your current person who holds your mortgage to be able to take the house back and what steps they have to take.
Right. This is the if you don't pay, you don't stay document.
It is. It is.
So it outlines in detail. So if you want to read that document word for word,
ask for it before closing.
Ask for it before closing. The mortgages all are the same. The things that change on the mortgage statement from buyer to buyer to buyer to buyer is the name of your name, the legal description of the property, the mortgage information. But they all are the same. They're talking about how you have to maintain the property and what the procedures are if you do not continue making payments
on it. So those of you that escrow with your mortgage payment, that means your taxes and insurance are being paid by your servicer. The other thing that can happen that the mortgage talks about is that you need to also, if you don't escrow, you are responsible for paying that insurance and those taxes, because that would also be a lien on your property or a forced insurance policy. So your mortgage goes through that too if you don't escrow. In Iowa, you own the land and they put a mortgage on it. Different states are a little bit different, but within your state, your mortgages will all be basically the same. If you're doing a VA loan, an adjustable rate mortgage, an FHA, or if you're in a PUD, a planned unit development, then they just put an addendum onto the mortgage to add to it for any kind of specialty kind of item.
Okay. So the note.
You gotta pay for it. So The mortgage kind of split things up. The note basically is the document you're going to sign that says, yes, I agree to pay my money back that I'm borrowing.
Right.
So it'll have your name, whatever the terms are of your financing is all going to be on your note. So your note is what you're saying, yes, I agree to pay for what I'm financing. The mortgage says if I don't pay it, this is the things that can happen to take the house back.
Yeah, absolutely. So these are terms that get tossed around in our world every day.
Yes, yes.
In your world, you're like,
well, what is that? Yeah.
You're only going to deal with it when you're buying and selling.
Yes.
The title, deed, mortgage, note. So we thought today would be a good day to just kind of explain what those are, because that can get kind of confusing. Well, what's the difference and why am I signing two things that say kind of the same thing and they're back to back in the, I just signed this, didn't I?
Right, and I just got my deed. So there's, obviously in the summertime, people are a lot of buying. So you're getting your deeds in the mail and you're like, you already closed on a house this summer. You're like, what in the world?
So what is title? I don't get, what is title?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So anyway.
It's the name on the mailbox. No. I don't know what title is. It's that. It's the abstract.
Yeah. It's a history of your property.
History of your property.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions about any of these or any other terms, if there's any other terms that get thrown out, we can certainly go over another list of terms at some point too that might help you figure out this whole process. But that's what we're here for, is to kind of explain that stuff to you. And if you're on RAGBRAI and you've taken a break and listened to us, happy peddling.
Hello, happy peddling. Enjoy the pie.
Yeah, enjoy the pie. Maybe we'll see you out there next year.